Dave Cooper Live. We connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. All right, everybody, welcome back. I know we were just live not too long ago, but this is really important stuff. We're going to be talking about sustainability. We're going to be talking about how can technology, or even will technology, be able to help us solve the housing crisis. And sitting with me today is Simon Coop. Simon's an urban planner, right? You go and you talk to the towns, and you got to deal with all those headaches. Yep. We all know who Steve Baker is. He was just on with us. So if you missed that show, please go back and check it out. And then we also have Brian Murphy, one of the world leading people in sustainability, decarbonizing the world, and helping companies and governments and everybody else figure out what's the best way to do this. So we're going to have a panel discussion on this today, and we're going to start off by doing some brief introductions. So Simon, how about you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you really do?
So I'm a senior planner in a company called Lichfields. We're town planning consultants, and our job is to help companies, particularly house builders, get planning permission for new housing developments.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm a director of Homeatix, a new affordable volume house builder. I'm really passionate about building homes.
I love it. Brian?
I'm Brian Murphy. I've been doing specification writing or writing recipes for buildings for most of my working life. Now I'm focusing on carbon to try and help architects and designers and contractors and everyone else to get lower.
And you've done a famous library here in London as well.
Yeah, just across the not just across the road. The British Library for £520 million specification of a violet building that doesn't perform very well.
Sure.
For all sorts of reasons, and a few environmental bad choices.
Got it. Well, this is going to be a great conversation, right? Because, Steve, you were in politics for, quite some time. Still involved, I'm sure. It never goes away eventually. What really needs to change, to solve the housing crisis and actually make them more affordable, sustainable, and healthier?
Well, there's a few things. I mean, really looking forward to hearing from Simon about the planning system. The planning system so often gets in the way, and in particular, the public get up in arms. Big developments with enormous numbers of houses just really alarm the public. So we need to deal with that, and also using technology to drive down costs. So the way that Homeatix deals with that, we're going to build on smaller sites. So that should immediately mean lower concerns from the public. And also we'll use technology. By building in factories, we will have consistent homes built for lower prices, using the latest materials and technologies to make sure they're environmentally friendly, they use the least possible energy. And that's how we'll do it. So we'll play our part in producing homes at great specifications for lower prices. We really need the planning system to change too.
Yeah, so let's hop into the planning system. Simon, one of the things you do for a living is go in front of planning boards, go in front of town halls, city halls. What is the critical issue that you keep running into time and time again as you're trying to help builders and developers, or even a single family homeowner, get their plan approved?
I think there are two key issues. One is the speed of the system. It just takes too long to get planning permission in this country. And then the time it takes from once you've got your planning permission, you've still got more conditions and things you need to sort out. So the speed is a real issue. The other issue is just actually having a planning system that's pro-development and having a planning system that is focused on the benefits of housing and really supportive of delivering more housing.
Yeah, and what are the solutions for that, Steve?
Well, councillors absolutely need to get a grip of their planning
Right.
departments for a start. I mean, because even with the law as it is, councillors need to make sure that their planning department is performing as they would like it to. And then, of course, government needs to reform the planning system. It's something I had a lot to say about while I was a politician. It was never very popular. But look, the truth is, I'm afraid that the state has far too much control over what happens. What we're doing is offering people the opportunity to customise even an affordable starter home. Now, that's going to mean we have this issue that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The planning system will need to be able to cope with people being able to have either an all brick or a brick and render or a brick and clad house, whatever it may be, with different canopies and so forth. Perfectly reasonable, minor differences between homes, but there'll need to be a degree of flexibility if people are actually going to have the house they want.
Right. I think that's the key, the word flexibility, that if we're going to speed the delivery of housing, we need to have a system that's able to cope with that. There's a lot of research that says that having different types of housing will help boost the market and help speed delivery, but a planning system needs to be able to cope with that difference and that flexibility, which at the moment I think it will struggle with.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Listen, I think a lot of people just struggle with the idea that they think prefab is different. It's not. It's just a process.
Yeah.
It is only a process, and we just put the homes together differently is all it is, but they're better, more sustainable, structural wise. Brian, we haven't gotten to you. I've seen you shaking your head a few times there. But when we look for DFMA, design for manufacturer assembly, we look at, reducing carbon and sustainability in healthy homes. What are you seeing as the challenges, and how do we move this forward?
I think the big challenge is that the vast majority of manufacturers know what they know, and they know the materials they like to use, and they've got their supply chains in place, and they've got to change those because we've got to go to low carbon materials and carbon positive materials. That's a big problem. Just tweaking around with your recipe of steel is not going to solve anything. You've got to switch from plastic insulations to dense wood fiber and a whole variety of other materials that are carbon negative.
Yeah.
If we don't go that way, we're never going to make any difference. It's just fine tuning, and that's never going to help.
Is it easier to do that in a controlled factory environment versus on a job site where you're relying on deliveries don't come, people can run and buy their own thing, and maybe it's not the right thing, but they got to get the project finished, right?
Yeah, I mean, factory production means an enormous amount of resource efficiency, about work efficiency, working in the dry, making sure that things can be done, and none of this kind of coming home from the pub at lunchtime, after lunchtime, and kind of not being in the best of condition to do a good job.
Right.
You need policing of people. That's just normal practice in some of the industries. So just much more resource efficient, making sure that things are panelized. If you make something, every panel that you make is the same size as a sheet that is sold, then there's no waste, there's no cutting, there's no off-cutting. 120 million tons or more of waste from the construction industry every year. All of that stuff disappears if you got it sorted in a factory.
And presumably a side effect of that is cost. It will help drive costs down, because one of the biggest other barriers we've got is development viability. Costs in the last few years, particularly since COVID, have gone up at a faster rate than house prices. So the imbalance there, and so the viability, if a site's not viable, it's not going to happen. It won't come forward. So trying to balance out those costs and helps address that, I think would be really beneficial.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, again, going back to that controlled environment, you can create less waste, right? The average job site in the United States has 30% waste on every house in a dumpster.
34% UK.
Yeah.
1,600 pounds of value of materials in a skip on average in the UK.
Right.
And I'm confident one day we'll look back and be astonished that we ever built houses this way, or that we kept doing it so late.
Yeah.
I mean, you go and look at a big site in a place I used to represent, enormous amounts of waste there.
Sure.
I mean, the houses may be beautiful, but it's so wasteful. And of course, if you seem to be about to carpet a place with identical houses and create waste and all the rest of it, people are going to object. We need to find ways if the planning system's to work, find ways to reduce public objections. So reducing waste, reducing noise, reducing the intensity of work, smaller sites, some variation in what's built. These are all things which can help the public, if not approve of, then at least acquiesce in the development of the homes that people need.
And the disruption that construction has on local population. If you're prefabricating everything and it's quick, in, out, finish, job done, then significant amounts, a lot less trucks back and forwards, it all makes the whole thing, and it encourages people in a way to have a better development next door to them rather than just reject it because of all the disruption that's going to happen and all the risks.
And I think people would be very surprised knowing the difference from what prefab used to be to where it is today. You can customize it. You can get the looks you want. It is no different than any site-built home follows the same regulations.
People say prefab and they have all sorts of ideas, but we can't quite see this Potton amazing home.
Yeah, I love it.
It's such a beautiful home.
Right. Yeah.
And I hope people will go out and just Google Potton and have a look at the Potton homes.
Sure.
They will not believe so beautiful.
This is a speed round, so we don't want to take a lot of people's time up today that's out there watching this. So part of this conversation is how will technology help change that? Let's start with you.
I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I'm looking at it from planning, as I said, and technology can be brought into the planning system. As I said to you before, one of the big barriers is resources within planning authorities. If we introduce technology to help improve those resources and improve the efficiency with which planning decisions are made, I think that will be really beneficial.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, and you were talking about the thousands of pages and documentation and the spreadsheets, all the things that turn me into a possum and make me freeze, right? Yeah. How do you see technology playing a role in helping everybody from planning to the manufacturers to the consumer having a healthier, safer product? How do you see technology helping us on this journey?
We're building not only Excel spreadsheets that do number crunching, but we're using Excel spreadsheets to be able to do risk assessments and challenge choices and enable people to be educated and make better decisions. So all of that stuff feeds into a better end result. And health, environmental, all of those things come into these risk assessments. And making better choices about, if you're refurbishing or new build, there are better choices. We just need to educate people to do that.
Steve, you get the last word here.
Well, we're going to use technology to turn the process on its head. People will log on to our configurator. They will configure the house as they want it to be. We then build it to order, ship the house out, assemble it on site. And so for us, technology is fundamental to really rescuing the housing market. And of course, technology in the factories, technology to organize what needs to go where, all the logistics of it. So it is going to be transformational, and it's all founded on the configurator, building to order, and having great factories at high quality.
There you have it, everybody. We are at the National Self-Build Renovation Center live. We're going to be here the rest of today. We're going to be here tomorrow. And there is a QR code right in front of your screen. You see it the whole time. If you want to learn about the configurator that Steve was talking about and we spoke about earlier, please just take your phone out and take a picture of that link. But we highly recommend that you come visit us. Come see what's happening here. Look at all the beautiful houses and the products that are here. I think it will inspire you, and you'll help us build a better future for not only us, but our kids as well. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching. At Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better.